Between the attention that End of Dragons and the Steam release has brought, there's been quite a few new players checking out Guild Wars 2, so I thought I'd do a video about my top 10 tips for new players. These will be about various topics and won't be in any particular order of importance. If you're an experienced player and want to add tips of your own in the comments, feel free to do so. Without any further ado, let's get started. Tip number 1. Don't rush to get to level 80 on your first character. Guild Wars 2 isn't a game where you need to grind to get to the endgame as soon as possible. There's multiple maps to explore at all levels, and you'll reach level 80 long before you finish exploring all of them. If you boost your character to level 80 or grind for experience, you'll miss out on a lot of the charm in the new player experience. Slow down a bit and enjoy it. You'll reach the endgame before you know it. Tip number 2. When you create a new character, you'll end up in the starting zone that corresponds to the race of that character. However, you'll automatically have a waypoint unlocked in each of the other races' starting maps, so you can start wherever you'd like. Tip number 3. There's certain loot settings that you can enable early on to make things easier. Auto Loot Auto Pickup removes the looting window so you automatically collect all of the loot from an enemy when you press F. AoE Loot on Interact will make it to where you collect loot from any enemies that are near the one that you looted. Enabling both of these will make it dramatically easier for you to loot until you gain access to fully automatic looting through the Advanced Logistics Mastery. Tip number 4. There's some other more general quality of life settings that I'd advise you to enable as well. Enabling in-game clock displays your local time in the corner of your minimap, so you don't need to minimize the game to check the time. Show Skill Recharge and Show Target Health Percentage provide better clarity for combat. Show All Enemy Names, Show All NPC Names, and especially Show All Usable Object Names provide better clarity for story, achievements, collectibles, and general gameplay. Tip number 5. You don't need to worry about making any mistakes when you're unlocking traits and abilities for your character. There's enough hero points available in the game to unlock all traits and all abilities. Once you've unlocked them, you can swap them out as often as you like, so it doesn't really matter what you choose first. Tip number 6. Don't worry about making gold just yet. It might sound weird coming from someone that makes videos about gold making, but when you first start out in Guild Wars 2, you won't really need a lot of gold. Just salvage gear with basic salvage kits, use the deposit materials button to put all your crafting materials in your bank, and sell junk periodically at vendors. Once you've explored for a while and reached level 80, you can go ahead and look more into gold making. I've got a playlist of videos that explain several gold making concepts in detail once you get to that point. Until then, there's not really much of a reason to worry about gold. Tip number 7. How to gear up as a new player. While you're leveling, you'll be fine just using gear that you acquire as you go along, and you don't really need to buy gear unless you want to. Once you reach level 80, you can research builds, find one you like, and buy level 80 exotic gear on the trading post. The prices of exotic gear can vary depending on the stats your build needs, but if you want a cost-effective option, find a build that uses Berserker's gear and you should be able to gear up for fairly cheap. Ascended and Legendary gear only give a slight stat advantage over exotics and are only actually necessary for doing high-tier Fractals of the Mists. With your exotic gear, you'll be able to do all other content in the game, including trying out lower tier Fractals of the Mists to learn them, so don't worry about Ascended stuff until later. Tip number 8. When you're using the in-game chat, use chat links whenever you can. If you shift-click the icon of any waypoint, point of interest, item, boon, condition, or other status, it will link it in the in-game chat. Using chat links is a great way to communicate more clearly with other players when you're asking questions, or just when you're chatting in general. Tip number 9. Use the /wiki command anytime you want more information about something. For example, you can go to your in-game chat, type /wiki in coded orders, and see what the item actually does. This also works in conjunction with chat links, so you can easily find the wiki page for any item in the game. The Guild Wars 2 wiki is pretty extensive and will be able to answer many questions you have when you're first starting out. I still use it even after playing for many years. Tip number 10. Join a guild. I mean, the game is called Guild Wars 2, so it shouldn't be too big of a surprise, but joining a guild has a lot of benefits, especially for new players. You get access to guild hall nodes, discounts on waypoints, people to play content with, and veteran players that can help you get more into the game and answer questions you have. Guilds absolutely enhance the experience of playing this game, and you really should try out a few until you find one that you feel is right for you. So those are my top 10 tips for new Guild Wars 2 players. There's definitely a lot more advice that new players might find useful, so feel free to add some tips of your own in the comments section if you want to. If you found this video helpful, I'd appreciate you taking the time to give it a like and maybe even subscribe for more Guild Wars 2 guides in the future. Thanks for watching.